it's Vicki with Mindful Minute, and this is the reading for May 25th, Through the Wall of Flame. As a frightened man in a burning boat, he has one way to the rest of his life. We must move with courage through the wall of flame into the greater sea. Living long enough, we each find ourselves surrounded by an old way of being, thinking, or loving that is going up in flames. In that unexpected moment, we usually find ourselves full of fear, feeling trapped by an old way of life coming in on us. But this is the passage of rebirth that we must move through if our lives are to unfold. It is the momentary and painful crossing from what is old into what is new. It is understandable to stall at the wall of flame, not wanting to face all that is burning around us. Yet old ways can burn forever, and waiting for the flames to go out seldom works. We can waste years in the waiting. Like the frightened man in the burning boat, we must trust that the greater sea we are jumping into will douse whatever catches fire as we move through. This is what faith is all about. Without trying to be brave and with great fear, I have stumbled and jumped through many walls of flame. The first time was in leaving home, needing to go, burning at the edge, afraid I wouldn't survive beyond the flame of anger in which I was raised. Not much later, I had to move through the flames of first love rejection. Here, the broken part of me was almost willing to be burned alive. I felt certain there was nowhere to go and nothing that could soothe me. I more fell through this wall than jumped, and, of course, once in the sea of life beyond myself, the world continued, and I healed. Perhaps the greatest wall of flame I had to jump through was the pain of cancer and the prospect of dying. It seemed the entire sea was on fire. Even once overboard, drifting farther and farther from the flames, I thought I might drown. How could I know that the greater sea was in the womb of a deeper life? I'm sure this is the same for anyone struggling to break out of any form of addiction, illness, or abusive relationship. By the subtlest ring of fire, it seems, the subtlest ring of fire, it seems, is that self-centered way of thinking that starts to suffocate us with its smoke. For we carry the smoldering of being self-centered everywhere we go. It lives off us and eats up who we are. So, how to jump from the burning boat that is us? Well, it somehow requires jumping from the boat of the ego into the sea of our spirit. That is a good one. This somehow involves the courage to surrender our stubbornness and dreams of control. It means letting the ribs of the ego burn and jumping through. We will more than survive. We will be carried to an unimaginable shore. And the activities are: center yourself and meditate on one way of being, thinking, or loving that stands between you and the fullest life. It might be a hiddenness you bear, or a critical blaming nature you suffer, or a fear of your own feelings. Breathe deeply and imagine what moving through this old way might ask of you. It might be as simple as giving yourself permission to be spontaneous, or giving yourself permission to break your own routines. Breathe slowly and picture yourself moving through the wall of flame burning about you. Breathe steadily and practice making the leap by picturing this again and again. This is quite the reading, and May 25th is my 10-year milestone in recovery, when I finally really decided to truly surrender to learn how to live a different life. And the change and transformation has been continuous, quite honestly, and it plateaus at times, and it changes, and it But every time moving through a fear, every single time it does feel like I'm moving in out of the fire. You know, it feels like everything is on fire. My hair's on fire. My life's on fire. And for some reason, it's like that fear, you know, it kind of reminds me of, and this isn't as dramatic as being on fire, but it kind of reminds me of jumping into a pool. And you know how like that you just don't want to be cold or whatever it is. And you hesitate, but when you jump in, then it just feels fine once you jump in, or it feels better, or whatever that feeling is. It's just breaking through that. I mean, I feel like it's just a mental block, and there's so many of them. And you know, I like this part where he writes, "Without trying to be brave, and with great fear, I have stumbled and jumped through many walls of flame." Stumbled and jumped, you know. The first time was leaving home, like his examples. And it just feels like it's so much worse than it really is. It feels like it's so much worse than it really is. But when we rip the Band-Aid off, or when we just break free, walk through. I had a friend in early recovery that always said, "Vicki, you got to walk through the fear. You got to walk through the feeling." So that is what I have tried to make a practice of. It's what I continue to make a practice of. I absolutely love this last part. When it somehow requires jumping from the boat of the ego into the sea of our spirit. And because, you know, that visual of the sea being so vast and so huge, and you have no idea what you're jumping into, but you know what you're jumping out of. And what you're jumping out of is not good. So why do I stay stuck in this burning fire of pain and fear and anxiety and shit? And instead of jumping into this ocean of possibilities and opportunities, and when I'm in the midst of that, it is so hard to think of all the opportunity that's in front of me. And I'm so grateful for these readings so that they remind me of this, because this is how I get better at it. This is how I practice it. This is how I learn to do it. This is how, when I'm in that situation and I feel like I'm on fire, I'm going to know what to do because of this reading. So I hope it helps you as much as it's helped me. I hope you have a beautiful day. I hope you have a beautiful week. Thank you to all the veterans who served for us here in the United States for Memorial Day. And I hope you're all getting ready for the country to open up, the world to open up again sooner than later, I hope. But as we do it together and with kindness and love for ourselves and others, I think our humanity is bigger than this chaos, this fire that we're kind of in right now as a whole, as a world. So be well, be safe, be kind to yourself and others. Namaste.